from the centre of migration. I love this man. Robert Bates, a very good afternoon. Welcome to Drive.
Hi, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, I'm going to start with a news story because this is going to send me straight through the bleeding roof. We've talked, have we not, about, you know, apparently the Home Office have actually deported 19,000 people since they took power. It's interesting to me. Nigel Farage has criticised it, saying it's a bit feeble and the timing's a bit dodgy because actually the Labour Party is the party of migration. But all of a sudden, this threat from reform seems to have focused Starmer and Yvette Cooper's minds, and they're now saying, and I want people to understand this, we have removed 19,000 illegal migrants since they took power. We've just been given a story in the Telegraph. Have you read this?
I have, yes, yeah.
This is unbelievable. You will have seen the deportation flight, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the Labour Party used as coverage. We saw it on camera. It's right, isn't it? Robert saying, you know, these people were sent back. The Airbus 321, ladies and gentlemen, which can carry 220 passengers, actually took 47 Albanian illegal migrants home to their country of birth last month. They were convicted criminals. Let's not credit, by the way, Starmer too much, because it was the Tories that did a deal with the Albanian government. The estimated cost to us, the British taxpayer, of sending these criminals home was £22,000 per person. £1 million of money. Robert Bates, this country's on its backside, man.
It's absolutely crazy. What we've paid for there is effectively a PR opportunity for Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper to masquerade as if they were hardline on this issue. They're trying to obviously stave off the threat from reform. 19,000, the number of people they've deported, is absolutely negligible. We've got 1.2 million illegal migrants in this country, so you know we're barely touching the tip of the iceberg when it comes to these actual deportations. And the fact of the matter is, what we need to start having a conversation about is, I'm all for spending money to remove people from the country. I'd happily spend billions to make sure that we didn't have any illegal migrants in this country. But I think there's a point of fairness here. And I think these individuals in particular from Albania, they've probably come into the UK illegally. They've probably ended up working in the black or grey market, earning a lot of proceeds, whether that be from nefarious means or via Deliveroo and other kind of delivery companies. We should be taking money off these individuals to pay for their flights home. We shouldn't, as the British taxpayer, be expected to stump up the astronomical amounts that we are having to at the moment to remove these people. We should also be looking to properly charge and sanction those companies that are hiring these people with improper practices and actually drawing them into the country in the first place.
This is so right, and obviously in the end I'm just going to be carried off to a section sub, to be sectioned somewhere, because I go further. And I've said this, and some of my colleagues here think I'm mad. I want to know what you think, right? This whole migration thing was explained to me years ago by Blair and his lot by saying, you know, we need people to come into this country to do those jobs, you know, like hospital porters and delivery drivers and all the things that you've just said. And then I think to myself, but we've got 3 million people on benefits, probably more. And then, of course, the blobs say to me, yeah, but Jez, they're all disabled and mentally ill. No, they're not. Let's say 1 million aren't. I'd close the borders and I'd make the 1 million people, Robert, who are being paid by the British taxpayer to do sweet nothing every week for their good and the country's good, off your backside. You go be a hospital porter, you go be a delivery driver. We'll pay you your doll whilst you're looking, but whilst you're looking, with our help, we expect something in return. Is that shocking? No, it makes perfect fiscal sense. We need a Prime Minister and a government in this country that are not scared to stand up and say, the blob's got to go. We're going to deport people. We're going to say to people who have chosen, I'm afraid, and don't send me messages saying, I know there's many people who can't, out of choice are on, are not out of choice, are on benefits, and I have great sympathy, but there's many people it's become a career choice, and that to me is fundamentally what's wrong with this country, Robert. Fundamentally.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think if you ask most people in their 20s and 30s and ask them to kind of conduct a survey of their friendship group, they know at least one individual that is quite proudly, you know, pulling the wool over the eyes of the DWP and, you know, quite happily lounging around on that kind of lifestyle that is enabled to them. There's a bigger point as well. Of course, we were told that immigration was absolutely essential and, you know, it's needed for economic growth. It's actually causing us economic decline. GDP per capita, as we know, is in absolute free fall. People are now worse off and have a worse quality of life than they did even a few years ago, thanks to the immigration that we saw under the Conservative Party. But many of those coming into the country aren't even working. In 2019, which is the last year for which we have data, there were over 1 million people that were born outside of the country that were actually claiming benefits as well. So far from bringing this huge economic growth and, the graphs going through the roof and everyone living in the land of milk and honey, we're actually getting a lot worse and having to subsidise the lifestyle choices of people that are in this country allegedly to help improve the country, but are actually just dining out on it.
I mean, and I think that's the point. And I think that, for the people who will say to me, and I get this point, they'll say, but Jeremy, the thing is, Great Britain's always been the leader in morality and the leader in helping people. And I get that. But the fact of the matter is, whether it's the cost of living, whether it's Brexit, whether it's lockdown, I don't know. This country is skint. And there are many, many, many hard-working men and women, not just in London, Starmer, north of Watford Gap, me old son, that's a reality, and south of Watford Gap, who have done nothing wrong in their lives. They've done everything right, and they feel like they're second-class citizens now, and that is why I feel those are the people that need to be listened to. But yeah, the story for you, just to repeat before we let you go, a deportation flight filmed by the Home Office that was part of a publicity stunt, we feel, to convince the British public from this Labour government that they had this under control when they announced 19,000 have gone. It was actually 47 Albanian illegal migrants. The deal had already been done by the Tories with Albania. And the cost of flying 47 criminals home is to be met by you, my tax-paying friends, £1 million, 22 grand a head. Sum it up, Robert Bates. Sum up what's wrong with this country, my friend.
An absolute farce. We've got cowards in government at the moment who are frankly more beholden to international law and their, as you said, Islington, North London chums than they are actually protecting the interests of the British public. And the worst bit is that they're deliberately lying to us now. They're trying to pull the wool over our eyes. 3/4 of those people that the Labour Party are bragging about having deported were voluntary returns. So these were people that actually volunteered to be sent back to their home country in the first place. So it's not as if Labour have sent in, SWAT teams and confiscated people and plucked people out of car washes and said, right, you're being removed. They've actually had people come to them and say, this lifestyle that I'm having to live in as a result of being here irregularly and not having access to certain provisions of the state is making things too difficult. So I will volunteer to return. So the Labour Party are lying to us. The Conservatives were no better. And we're in for a very dire 5 years until we can hopefully sort things out in 2029.
Great to have you on, the Research Director for the Centre for Migration Control, the excellent Robert Bates. Thank you for being on Talk Drive.